Josh Wade Show. My name's Josh Wade. Thanks to The Siege for helping us out with the music. They help us out with every single show. Reply to Calvin's email. Calvin, our guest today, is trying to use your fucking music and you cunts haven't replied, so get the fuck on it. Thank you to our people on Patreon for supporting us every week. We just finished doing we either finished or we're going to be doing a live podcast in Brisbane this week, answering some of your questions. It's going to be wild. So thanks to everyone that donates over there. All you got to do is donate a couple of bucks, join a private Facebook group. We live stream in there every week, talk to you guys, and I'm doing shows in Melbourne and Sydney really, really soon with my new show, so come along and see it. Today I have an Olympian swimmer, Calvyn Justus. Thanks for joining me, mate.
Yeah, I'm so excited to be on the show.
Now, this is weird because, I mean, I've known you for, I want to say like 3 years, I reckon, maybe.
Yeah, I'd say 3.
Yeah, and I was thinking about it this morning, thinking, you know, if we do this podcast, it's a little bit bizarre because you're an Olympian, but like I don't see you as an Olympian at all. So
why is that?
I don't know. Well, that allure is gone. Like, you know, I know who you are.
Oh, because we're friendly.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's like we're friends now. Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
So
I get that.
now, Jesus, no. But I was sitting there thinking, like I'm gonna have an Olympian on the show. That's actually a pretty big deal. You know.
I appreciate it. You've had some awesome guests, so.
The prostitute, yeah, he likes that one.
Big Les one was my favorite.
Yeah. Oh, that's not what you told me privately, but anyway. So you're in Australia here for the Commonwealth Games, which is a pretty big deal. You were at the Olympics. How long ago was that?
Oh man, it's gone so quickly. It was 2016, so this is 2 years already, huh?
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's a long time
ago. It's crazy.
Yeah. And how old are you?
I'm 22. I had to think about that for a second. I just turned 22 this past December.
And you make videos on YouTube. You got a vlog channel.
I do, yeah. I've got a YouTube channel which just kind of documents my life, my travels, swimming, outside the pool, travels. I said that. Everything.
Yep. So, I mean, let's go back to when you were younger. And what I want to talk about today is more about mindset. Everyone knows the sport swimming. I'm not going to bore you with that sort of shit that you're going to be interviewed about that, I'm sure, enough. Sure. But what I'm more fascinated by is how does someone like yourself get to an elite level of where they want to be, whether that be in sport or whatever you want to do, and how are you taking that mindset into other things? Because I know you're doing a lot of other things, outside of swimming. So for yourself, how old were you when you first started swimming?
I was actually 9 years old. The reason I started was because I was actually told by my school that I'm not good enough to be I was in grade 4. Do you call it grades?
Yeah, grade, whatever.
So I was in year 4, grade 4. And I was actually told that I was not good enough to be in, not even the A team, but the B team. So I was in like the C team at 9 years old.
Swimming,
yeah.
Right.
So they said to me, you need to go to school, after school lessons if you want to get better. So I did that for like a year. She kind of identified a talent in me, said I needed to move on to another coach, become more competitive, train harder. So I moved on to that next coach, and that's kind of where I started, really improving pretty quickly. So I trained there for a couple of years, and my first year of high school, I actually joined the South African Olympic coach, the head coach of South Africa. And I've swum there ever since, and he just kind of guided me and nurtured me and trained me to the point I'm at now. So
do you think with something like that, it's a talent of some sort, how much of it do you think is, talent, as in you're born with it and it's just a gene that you have, and then how much of it do you think is work towards? Because
I think that story kind of just proves that I don't believe I was born with the talent. If I was, I feel like I wouldn't have been told that I needed that extra training. So I think it all comes down to just, deciding something in your head, deciding that's what you want to be, that's what you want to be good at, and just doing whatever it takes, working, putting in the effort, the time, the hours, sweat, the tears, whatever it is, and just getting yourself to that point.
So, all right, so you've started there, you've sort of moved up to the top. When is there a period where you recognize your, I suppose, your learnt craft? Because I suppose it's like anything else where, like you just said, if you want to be a good painter, you just paint and you get better.
Yeah.
When did you recognize that, oh shit, like there's improvement here, like I'm fucking great?
Yeah, I guess I'd say when I started beating everyone my age, when I remember when I was 12 years old, they had a race for me where I was trying to break the SA record for that age group for 12-year-olds. And I had to swim in the lane by myself, in the whole pool by myself, just one lane, like trying to get this time. And at that point, I guess I was like, okay, this is kind of going somewhere. I want to keep, I mean, obviously for me from 9 years old, because in 2004, I don't know how old I was then, but in 2004, South Africa just won gold at the Olympics for the 4x100 meter freestyle relay. And that kind of just, when I saw that, I was like, Olympics, that's it. Doing whatever it takes, that's where I'm going. So I think in my mind, I was only ever going to be good enough once I'd done that.
So now you've done that. So
Yeah.
I know we're fast forwarding through a lot here, and I will go back, but what is that like then, putting your mind to something, doing it, like pretty outrageous, like idea of something, like what most people would go, that's probably too hard. You know, I was considered shit at it, and I was put in a C side, and now I want to do the Olympics, and now I've done the Olympics. Is there a moment after that experience where you sit there and go, oh, fuck, now what?
Well, yeah, I think this comes back to what you spoke about earlier of like how can I apply this to my life and stuff, my mindset. So I think the mindset was just, I wanted it no matter what it was going to take, you know? It was something that seemed impossible, but the closer I got, still it just seemed like it was never going to happen. And then once I'd done it, it was kind of like, you know, then you look at it with a whole new perspective, like a whole new light. It's like, okay, I've done it now. Now I can do anything. That's literally, I can remember for the first couple of weeks after competing, I felt like whatever my next step was going to be, I was going to be incredibly successful at, just because it had been such a big goal that I'd had for most of my life, from the age of 9 especially, to being 20 when I'd qualified. That's 11 years that you've just been focused on a single thing. So then, yeah, when you finally get that, you're kind of like, okay, well, yeah, anything is possible.
And I suppose that single thing is just following that fucking line down the pool.
Yeah, that black line for 6 hours a day.
Right. So
not too fun.
I know we were talking in the car about, because obviously that the mindset of any athlete or anyone that's successful in anything is obviously just to stay on the path. Now, we were talking before in the car on the way here about other athletes that have, not just in Australia, but just in general, that fall off after they succeed and in that thing that they want to do, and that they get to the top of their game, and then it all seems to crumble down. That's a pretty incredible phenomena when you look at someone with such a strong mindset, someone that was able to achieve something that only an elite amount of people could do. Why do you think that people that are the strongest can sometimes also fall the longest?
I think that's a really good question, and something that I feel people need to pay a lot more attention to, because it's been proven that this is happening. I mean, also I know that it happens a ton in American football. You know, these dudes after their careers become super depressed or suicidal or whatever it may be. I think, in my personal opinion, it comes down to an excess of focus, maybe like an overwhelming amount. Like I said, you have this single goal, and it is so consuming. It is literally all you think about. Almost every spare thought you have is devoted to that. So you waking up, it's the first thought you're going to have. You go to bed, it's the last thought you're going to have. So for me personally, the thing I've always focused on is always having other interests and trying to keep myself away from that, and just saying to myself, especially post-Olympics, saying just, you know, this isn't going to be, I'm not allowing this to be the peak of my life. This is the beginning. This is the building block. So I think making sure you have passions and interests outside of the pool is a huge, huge importance, because it just doesn't put that pressure on you. And then when you lose that, or when you retire, or you're injured and you can't compete anymore, you don't lose your sense of self. You don't lose your self-worth or your value of yourself that you tie into the sport. Yeah.
So it's almost like finding a side hustle that's a hobby, I guess. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, and it's got just an interest to get your mind off it, I think.
Right.
I think that's so important, and I've heard a lot of top sportmen say that when you leave the field or when you leave the pool or whatever it is, that you leave your mind there as well. So that when you go home and you're recovering or you're resting, you've got something that's going to just, you know, ease your mind, take it off. So it's not that constant pressure.
Yeah.
That constant attention.
I guess, like, we'll show some of the overlays of some of the videos you've done, but you're obviously, and since I've met you, You're a very, very, very talented videographer.
Thank you.
Very good. Like honestly, when I was first watching your stuff ages ago, it was good, but then like you've absolutely, I don't think I've ever seen anyone excel. I am blowing smoke up your ass this time.
I appreciate it.
But yeah, well, I don't blow smoke up people's ass much, but it's good. It's really, really good stuff. And I know that you're going to be extremely successful at that. So, you know, when do you decide that the other thing that you're doing becomes more of a focus? Like if both things, and this applies to a lot of people, I suppose, this question.
100%.
When two things are going really, really well,
yeah,
and eventually there becomes a point where you have to choose one or the other, how do you decide that?
I think it's the thing you're thinking the most about.
Mm-hmm.
So when it gets to a point when I'm thinking about this road more than the other one, I'm going to journey off onto that one.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the subconscious mind is very powerful in that sense. So if I'm spending majority of my time thinking about something else, that's a pretty good indication that that's what I should be doing.
Mm-hmm.
So right now I've got these passions, this filmmaking and the swimming, and they're kind of benefiting off each other and they're growing together.
Mm-hmm.
They allow time for each other. The swimming, you know, in between training, I've got time to edit or whatever. Swimming also allows me to travel. I'm here on the Gold Coast. I'm busy shooting some films. So they're kind of hand in hand at the moment. But when it gets to a stage when, you know, one interferes with the other or my mind's lingering solely on the one, that's what I'm going to chase full on.
Yeah. Do you ever like fall off the surfboard in terms of like...
Yeah, I fall off tons.
No, I know. He surfs. Do you ever fall off the surfboard in terms of, you know, you'll be training, you'll be eating right, you'll be doing all this? Are there ever times, and I'm sure there is, you're a human being, that you go, fuck, this week hasn't been a good week. Like, and how do you get back on? Because I suppose for a lot of people, including myself, you know, you live a very, very, very strict lifestyle. Surely it must be even more alluring to take a bite of the apple. When you take a bite of the apple, how do you get back on board yourself?
Well, I think what you just said is key. We're human. I think a lot of people kind of just forget that and they assume, you know, Olympic athletes are these surreal humans, just like I'm robots programmed to do things. I wake up, I swim, eat, go to bed. But it's not like that. I have the same thoughts as everyone else does. I wake up, I'm like, oh, dude, I just want to sleep today. Or I'm on my way to training. I look out the window, the surf's sick. I'm like, okay, should I skip training, go surf? My friends are going out tonight. It's going to be a good one. Should I maybe go out and try and make training in the morning? So we have these kind of temptations just like everyone else does. I think, and sometimes you do give in to them, sometimes you don't. Mm-hmm. I think the thing it all comes down to is how hungry you are for what's next, like what's coming up. So for example, for me, leading up to the Olympics, I didn't touch a drink. I wouldn't make sure I'd go to bed before 10 o'clock every night. So it was just kind of making sure that I was doing everything so that if it came to the point when I didn't qualify, I could at least say to myself, I did everything in my power to make sure I gave myself the best possible option to do it, you know, the best outcome. But when you do give into these things, I think it's important to just mentally remind yourself that like you are human, you still need to have fun, you still need to enjoy life.
Yep.
And there's just got to be a balance. So
I asked you this the other day. I was like, what do you actually do for fun? Like, obviously you have your surfing and that, but I mean, I don't even know if that's the right question because drinking's not necessarily fun, but like...
It's fun for a bit.
You know, as a 22-year-old or whatever, how do you stay away from what is a lifestyle amongst most people? I'm sure you've got friends that don't swim in that, and I suppose their lifestyle would be so completely different to yours. How do you still be a 22-year-old while trying to chase your career goals? Not necessarily just Olympian, but as a broad question to anyone that's career-focused. How do you balance that?
You know, I think, and I know you'll understand this because you're a really driven person as well, and you set goals for yourself, and you'll do what it takes to get them right. So I think it just actually comes down to what I said earlier. When you have a goal and you want to achieve that, and you know that doing this or doing that is not going to help you or not put you that step forward, I think then it becomes pretty easy to kind of just push it away. And I don't know if maybe that's just me personally, like maybe I just have like a really strong, sense of self or something. I'm not sure, but I feel that I can, if my friends are going out and I know that I've got a big training session in the morning, I need to be rested and recovered and ready to go. I can pretty easily just be like, going out's not going to benefit me. But, having a good session it's going to benefit the future of my life.
Right.
So I think it's just about, when these moments present themselves, it's just about sitting yourself down for 10 seconds, just get inside your own head and just ask yourself, is this kind of something that I feel is going to impact me positively moving forward? Or is it just like a fake amount of happiness for a couple minutes?
Well, that leads on to my question that I was just thinking about then. When you talk about a fake thing of happiness, did you ever at some point, because I've experienced this myself, where I set a goal, normally it's actually every single goal that I set for myself, as soon as I get there, I enjoy and smell the roses for about 3 minutes, not long. And then I'm back to, I almost just think nobody gives a fuck.
Yeah, it's not as good as it was the way you built it up in your mind.
Yeah.
So I think
it's just over so quickly.
Dude, I can relate to that completely. Like, I remember towards the end of the Olympics, so we all live in an athlete's village, all the athletes, Young, Roger Federer, Novak Djokovic, Usain Bolt, everyone's in the same space.
Yeah, I didn't get my invite, which was weird.
Yeah, just recheck your email.
Probably my junk mail, yeah.
But I remember walking around towards the end and I was thinking, I don't deserve to be here. Like, this is weird,
Well, there's your first fucking problem.
Yeah, well, you get there and that's that excitement you just spoke about. You're like, okay, I did this. This is really great. And then it's just gone and you're like, okay, but now what? So I think, but I've actually turned that around in my head to think that that's a really positive thing, because that's what's going to keep you pushing into the next thing. Because if you were really happy after achieving your first goal, which would have probably been at like 12 years old of trying to get into high school or something stupid, you would have been complacent and like completely satisfied and content with that. And then you wouldn't have been the person you are now, for example. So I think the point of, just getting bored or just getting over your success fast is actually really positive, because that just means that you're going to push yourself and you're going to keep setting higher and higher goals and just never be content. And I've heard you say that to me before as well. I've heard you say, I don't think I'm ever going to be content. And that's why I feel that if you have that mindset, or at least people that are really successful have that mindset, and it just keeps pushing them until they die.
Yeah, I guess so. Like, we have an analogy in the office that I've been talking to Sam and Zach about, and I probably spoke to Keegan about as well, which is our whole idea of what we're building outside of Josh Wade, the brand or the show. Like, what I'm actually working on is our idea of having a pile of shit, a big like pile of really bad shit, like bit diarrhea-y, bit of everything, right? But we know that under that shit there's quite a bit of gold, right?
Yeah.
Now, 8 or 9 months ago, Sam and I at the outside a cafe said, all right, let's start eating this shit, because there's going to be some good stuff under there. So we've been eating the shit. Now we've got some people helping us eat the shit that believe that...
It's a very interesting analogy.
No, it gets better. There's people that are like, fuck, there is some guy. If these guys have been eating this shit for a little while, it must be something good. No one else is eating the shit. Keep going. We're building up a team of people helping us eat the shit. Now, as soon as we start to reach the gold, which is exciting, I want everyone to take some gold. More gold than what I take. Take it. I might take a little bit, go get another pair of Gucci shoes. But as soon as I take that tiny bit of gold, you bet your fucking bottom dollar I'm going to find a way to make sure we get some more shit on that pile.
Exactly. It's kind of like you take that first bite of the pizza. You're not going to have one slice. You're going to finish the whole thing.
Yeah, and then I want more.
And more. And so you own the pizza place.
Yeah, well, I don't just own the pizza place. I fucking am so high on my own pizza. I just want to keep eating so much shit. I enjoy the shit more than I enjoy the gold.
Exactly.
The gold is a drink of water, a sip in between the shit eating.
Exactly. But what you just said there is you enjoy the shit, not the pizza. So you enjoy the process. So if you want to be successful, you got to love it no matter what. When you're failing, when you're successful, you got to love it. So if I'm swimming like shit, I'm not doing the times I want to do, I've still got to love it. And that's what's going to keep you going. You asked me earlier if you lose focus or whatever, you fall off a little bit, how do you get back on? You got to love the whole process. So if I love it when I'm hurting, I love it when I feel good, I'm there. I'm there from the start to the end.
Do you think your mindset, personally observing you, knowing what you were like before you went into the Olympics v now, do you feel like your mindset is vastly different? Because I believe that it is.
I do actually, yeah. But I think there's two reasons. I think firstly, you know, I was 20 years old when I went to the Olympics, so I'm still, you know, learning about myself, learning about my interests, growing as a person, and then so there's that aspect of it. Then the second thing is as well, like you said, that's something that maybe 1% of athletes, not even the world, just maybe 1% of athletes get to experience. So I think something on that scale just kind of pushes your mind, you know, a couple steps forward and just kind of says, you know, you've done this. And it's a very surreal thing to try and explain, because it's this, especially when you're there, they make you feel like you're not even on planet Earth. They make you feel like you're this kind of alien, you know, like you're just walking amongst other aliens, and it's just like out of place. And then you kind of come back, and there's a thing called post-Olympic depression.
Yeah, I thought that was a joke, but it's
a very real, and I'm not going to say I felt depressed, but you come back down to Earth, you go back home, and after a month, everyone stops clapping and everyone stops congratulating you, and you're kind of like, okay, I'm very normal.
Yeah.
I'm still going to go stand an hour in a line trying to pay a parking ticket.
Yeah.
You know, it's...
So, like, does that allure, now that you've done the Commonwealth Games before, you've done the Olympics before, do you think that helps going into it going, all right, I get it. Like, I know I'm going to come into the camp. It's going to be exciting. There's going to be those things, but do you feel like you're going to be less thrown off?
Definitely. I think now I'm going into it with especially this is my second Commonwealth Games. I went to my first one when I was 16 years old.
Jesus.
So I've come into this with a much more, I don't want to say mature, but just a much more open-minded understanding, where I'm coming into this going, okay, there's going to be a bit of change, you know, this environment where I don't have to worry about myself anymore, and everyone's uplifting, everyone's almost just very interested in who you are and what you're doing. But I think I like to just now keep inside my head, and I'm focused on what I want to do. So I don't let these external factors really influence my thoughts and my movements and my thinking. So it's kind of like, I know what I'm here to do. I know what's going to happen. I know what's going to happen afterwards, but I'm not drawing my self-worth or my happiness from that. I'm drawing it from within. And I think that's something you can kind of take into life in general, you know. When you get to work, if you're not getting that praise or that attention from your boss or from your lecturer at school, that's not where you should draw your self-esteem from or your confidence, you know. Like, that lecturer is shitting me out. He's not telling me my work's good. Yeah. You shouldn't really care, you know. You should just kind of know that I've got this goal. I'm going to do it.
Is it good to be selfish?
Yeah, definitely. And I think there's obviously different forms of selfishness, but no one's going to give you what you want at all. You know, if you want something, you've got to go and take it.
I mean, I know this is, you know, I don't know if this is something that you want to talk about, but I think it's to wrap up what you've been saying, because I don't have too much time with you today. But, you know, on top of this, right, what you've achieved is amazing, and it's great, and I think it says a lot about you. But I suppose there's a lot of people out there, especially in the culture that we live in today, that have a bit more of a, I don't want to say victim mentality, but, you know, there's a belief that I can't do it because this happened in my life, or I wasn't born into the right circumstances. Do you know where I'm going with this?
100%. It's always easier to say, you know, to make some excuse up. I mean, I could say I'm from a third world country. I don't receive any financial support, or if I was short, I could say I wasn't born tall. You know, and this is the thing. Every single person has something that they could pull up and say, oh, there's my excuse. Take it. I can't do this. Yeah. But that just, again, comes down to how bad you want it, you know?
Do you think you want it more when you've come from shit?
I think it's definitely a possibility, you know, because I've always said this, right? So when you I kind of feel like I'm lucky that I'm born in a third world country, because when I get to go to these first world countries, I'm excited, you know? I'm like, wow, this is how this works? That's what that looks like? That's really cool. But maybe if I was born in this incredible place, I wouldn't appreciate it as much. So I kind of feel like maybe it's not an advantage, but when you come from slightly different backgrounds, it gives you an appreciation and a gratitude. So I think, I don't know, if you look at success stories, 90% of them they're not people that came from anything. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it's always someone came from this broken family or this really struggling financial background, and that they used as motivation to push themselves forward. So it's not about an excuse. Take that excuse and it's actually your ammo. It's actually your advantage, because it gives you something to push yourself about.
That's an
gives you something to wake up and you go, I'm in this really bad situation right now. My family's got no money, or my family really needs money, needs support, or I need to get out of the city. Whatever, everyone's going to be different, whatever it is. Good?
Yeah.
Whatever it is, you can just use that to your advantage, because it's actually harder when you don't have something pushing you to go for a goal, because it's easy to kind of just fall off track, lose interest. But when you've got something that's pushing you, like a disadvantage, that's what's going to keep you motivated, and that's what's going to be your sword to just like cut through the trees, because you're going to look back and you're going to go, that's why I'm doing this. And it's going to remind you about that every single day when you're faced with these challenges.
Make excuses your bitch and also use them as your strength.
Yeah. Put that on a t-shirt.
Yeah, fucking oath we will. And they'll be selling on cunny.tv/merch. No, I'm only kidding, but great.
For the Patreon guys.
For the Patreon guys. Yeah, they still have to pay for it as well. Those things cost money to make.
But at a cheaper cost.
Yeah, cheaper. Yeah, 5% off.
Fair enough.
Calvyn, thanks for coming on the show. I know we've got to run you back, but I appreciate it. I know that there's not many people talking. It's pretty hard to get someone on like yourself. So I appreciate you coming on. I know we covered a shitload. Is there anything that you wanted to bring up at all before we get back on the highway? And
just thanks so much for the opportunity.
Yeah,
I'm excited to watch this podcast grow.
Yeah, podcast.
Did I say podcast?
You said something. I don't know what it was.
I'm excited to watch this podcast grow.
Yeah, okay, good. Well, fucking oath, you'll see it. All right, thanks for watching. Calvyn's links and everything will be in the description below. Go subscribe to his channel, Instagram, etc. Fuck yeah, let's go.
Thanks,
let's do
brother.
it. All right.